Hello guys, and welcome to my new video. And today Blizzard has announced more changes that is going to be happening to healers. We're going to talk about these changes. We're going to talk about an updated state of healing in the War Within Season 1. So first of all, let's go and get started with, again, there's not a huge amount of changes, keep that in mind, but I'll talk about my opinions in terms of how healers are feeling. So Restoration Druid, Swiftman healing is increased by 25%. This is kind of random, or a little bit random, but I guess I take it. I guess any buffs to Resto Druid are more than welcome, and the side note for this is that I've been playing Resto Druid quite a bit, specifically in META My Wishlist content. I've been trying out Keeper of the Grove, I've been trying out Wildstalker. I think both of those hero builds have different kind of niches and it's fun to play around. I've been doing a lot of META My Wishlist poke content, and you do have to anticipate damage. You do have to know the damaging events that are happening. Again, some nasty trash bags, some nasty bosses. You need to apply your HUDs before damage happens. You need to let your regrow do the work. And it can be a little bit daunting when it comes to that unexpected damage or poke content, people not using defensives, or just, again, standing in swirlies. But at the end of the day, I've had a lot of fun with Resto Druid. I know there's a lot of negativity around this, but the fact that Resto Druid has been buffed so much throughout the War Within, because let's be honest, at the start of the War Within, Resto Druids were really in a pretty dire spot. But right now, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with Resto Druid, depending if you like that kind of playstyle. I do wish the Druids would have a less intrusive interrupt. And again, Resto Druid damage, there's a lot of healers out there that could do a lot of DPS if they're allowed to do that DPS. But again, there's a lot of dungeons out there where you just end up babysitting the party, or there's so much healing needed that you don't get to do as much damage as you would like. And again, Druid damage can fall off in those regards, especially in poke content. But again, we've seen Resto Druids in MDI. If you have a really good group, if you really know how to play Resto Druid, you can do good DPS. So at the end of the day, you can never count out a Druid with Mark of the Wild when it comes to meta, or when it comes to possibly becoming meta. Let me know which hero build you prefer as a Resto Druid, Wildstalker or Keeper of the Grove. Let's talk about Monk. And Mistweaver Monk received a buff, which again is actually really nice. Conduit of the Celestials, Courage of the White Tiger, damage is increased by 35%. You might look at this and you're like, okay, DPS increase. Keep in mind, this DPS increase is also going to translate into more healing because of how Courage of the White Tiger works. And the side note for this is absolutely massive, because I've recently started gearing up my Mistweaver Monk. Again, most of the footage, or all the footage that you see right now, my Monk was like 590 item level. So a lot of these healers, I'm gearing up, I'm trying to do these 10 keys, and again, I'm under geared and I'm trying to see how they perform. And how do I say, I know Mistweaver Monk is blasting right now, but I still was surprised about how much it is blasting. It is, how do I say this? Could I say that Mistweaver Monk is OP without Mistweaver Monk being considered meta? Because I think it is a sleeper right now. The amount of damage and healing I'm doing with my crappy little rat Mistweaver Monk is insane. If you're looking to play an out, I'm telling you this right now. Roll a Mistweaver Monk. Try and play something like, again, I'm playing with Jade Empowerment Talents, which means that a lot of people don't actually know what's happening with Mistweaver Monk since the last couple of patches and things like that. Ancient Teachings is a passive. And you also notice Ancient Teachings is also including Crackling Jade Lightning. So try this out. Roll a Mistweaver Monk. Again, I'm running Jade Empowerment. So, for example, I'm approaching a trash bag. I'm pressing my Thunder Focus T. I'm making sure the Jade Fire Teachings is also running. It is a large AoE trash bag. Pressing Crackling Jade Lightning is one of the most satisfying buttons in the game right now. The amount of damage you're going to be dealing and the amount of healing you're going to be doing is absolutely wild. And the fact that it is also a ranged ability gives you a little bit of that leeway, because you are at least I've been trying out that melee build. Keep in mind, this is all based on my META My Wishlist testing, or early META My Wishlist testing. I've been trying out different hero builds. I've been running Master of Harmony. I've been trying out Conduit of Celestials. I'm not sure which one I prefer overall, but I have to tell you this right now, that Mistweaver Monk has potentially one of the highest HPS available in the game right now, depending on which build and how you play. And now let's go to Holy Priest, and there are buffs. I think a lot of people are surprised, because Holy Priest has been, in my eyes, abandoned over the last couple of patches or weeks or whatever, because these buffs are well deserved. Holy Word Serenity healing increased by 25%, Holy Word Sanctify healing increased by 25%. I think these are pretty nice, because these are some of your main abilities, and I think most of the Holy Priests are going to be looking at this and they're like, finally. But I'm fully aware that Holy Priest has a lot of issues when it comes to that AoE toolkit, because Holy Priest's niche right now is spot healing, or at least it relies a lot of that spot healing, triage healing with talents like Lightweaver. And that kind of is true for both raids and META My Wishlist, because a lot of you don't really pick up a lot of the AoE heals that are available to you, because they're just not all that great. And this is specifically painful when it comes to that Mythic Plus content as Holy Priest, because this season has a lot of burst AoE healing checks. And Triage healing with Holy Priest can feel a little bit annoying, and a lot of the Holy Priests might be saying, hey, I'm just going to swap over to Discipline Priest, who's honestly insane at AoE healing right now, specifically in that Mythic Plus. We're talking about Mythic Plus. But I'm really happy that Blizzard is buffing Holy Priest, because I know there's a lot of Holy Priest enjoyers out there who are just sick of being told, hey, you can just swap over to Discipline, especially when it comes to that Mythic Plus content. If you enjoy a spec, you should feel rewarded by playing that spec. So let me know how you feel about this, and let me know what changes you would like to see in the future, specifically for Holy Priest. And lastly, let's go to Restoration Shaman buffs. There are more buffs to Farseer DPS, and you might be reading this: Farseer chain lightning damage from ancestors increased by 30%, Farseer lava burst damage from ancestors increased by 15%, and you'll be like, hey, a couple of weeks ago, wasn't there very similar changes? Yeah, you're absolutely right. A couple of weeks ago, they did buff your chain lightning from, again, Farseer ancestors by 40%, and the same buff to lava burst, and now they're building on top of that even further, so they're going ham on Farseer Resto Shaman DPS. And I'm all for this. The fact that Blizzard is buffing underrepresented hero builds in hopes that more people are going to play them is the way to go. I wish that this would happen for every single class, every single spec out there, because you don't want to have hero builds that are considered to be dead. But let's take a step back here and just look at these changes in the grand scheme of things, because overall I really like the fact that Farseer DPS is being buffed, because I think in order to optimize your DPS as Farseer, you do have to sacrifice healing, because again, it's not the same as playing Totemic, where Surging Totem, Acid Rain is going to account for majority of your damage. If you're playing Farseer, you actually have to make a decision when you can DPS, because you're going to be giving up healing. And I think the fact that it's going to be rewarding is really, really good. I would like to see the same kind of thing being applied to Farseer healing a little bit more. I would like to see some buffs to Farseer healing, because right now, let's say, for example, that one of the main reasons why people are playing Restoration Shaman Totemic, again, there's many reasons, but overall, I think it's relatively easy to play. I think the amount of passive healing that you get from Totemic as Resto Shaman is absolutely freaking wild, because your Surging Totem and your Healing Stream Totem can handle a lot of these non-lethal events that are happening to your party, and that leaves you with, again, you can do other things outside of that. And you also have to remember that with Totemic Resto Shaman and talents like Reactivity, they're still bugged when it comes to Healing Stream Totem, and you just have so much extra passive healing that you can get from that. I can tell you right now that there's a lot of Resto Shamans that are looking to try out something different. They want to go to Farseer, they're kind of bored of Totemic, because let's be honest, Totemic is a little bit bland when it comes to the base rotation, and they want to swap over to Farseer, but Farseer is just so much more intensive. Don't get me wrong, you can actually get really good numbers with Farseer, you just have to try a bit harder versus something like Totemic Resto Shaman. And how many people are sick of that Totemic Resto Shaman mana issues, and they would love to swap over to Farseer and feel comfortable with it? This is why I'm telling you that I hope that Blizzard is going to increase Farseer healing a little bit more in the future, so you feel more rewarded by playing this hero build, because I'm looking to swap, I'm looking to try it out. I just feel like it should be more rewarding and approachable. And in terms of the DPS buffs, I can definitely see Farseer Resto Shaman being the way to go when it comes to certain dungeons. For example, Mist Athena site, there isn't a huge amount of healing requirements in there. There's a lot of downtime. You'll be able to squeeze in DPS abilities, especially on the first boss, in terms of prioritizing single target. I think Farseer is going to be the way to go. But there's a lot of dungeons out there where you basically can barely do any damage, and you don't really take advantage of the Farseer Ancestor DPS abilities because you don't want to give up your healing. So it really depends on the dungeon you're doing, depends on the group you're in, and depends on how you can optimize your DPS, because a lot of the times if you're playing Restoration Shaman Totemic, your Acid Rain is just going to account for most of your damage. You just click it or click your Surging Totem and leave it, and you hope people are going to stand in it or mobs are going to be around it. So again, I want Farseer to succeed. I just hope that Blizzard is going to add additional buffs to its healing, so people are going to be more inclined about trying out Farseer, because in my opinion, Farseer is the more fun hero build to play. So if we look at the raid HPS right now and what's going to happen, again, you can see here this is 75 percentile. These actually change significantly. If you go to 90 percentile, you'll see a bigger dip for Holy Priest. So I think any changes or any buffs that are happening to Holy Priest right now are going to be very much welcome. I also feel there's going to be a little bit of, again, we saw a little bit of buffs to Mistweaver Monk, a little bit of buffs to Restoration Druid. They were Farseer, Resto Shaman buffs in terms of damage. That's not going to impact raid HPS in any shape or form. But Overall, I don't think this chat is going to change a whole lot. I think the buffs to Holy Priest are going to be nice. I don't think you should focus on HPS too much. If you're progressing raid bosses, there's a lot of different kind of healers that bring something else outside of HPS. So keep that in mind. Let's go and look at Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus charts have been flipped around over the last couple of weeks. You can see the domination at the start in terms of the war within Season 1. Restoration Shamans were absolutely insanely dominant. It swapped completely. Discipline Priest has taken over in the highest keys in the world, and this week currently you can see here the representation. Now, do I think Discipline Priest needs changes or whatever? In my eyes, the fact that Discipline Priest is so meta right now in really high keys is extremely dependent on the fact that Prot Paladin is the best tank right now. Prot Paladin is going to handle a lot of the interrupts. That means that a priest that does not have an interrupt is not that big of a deal. It also helps with the fact that Prot Paladin helps with single target healing, and Discipline Priest can definitely use some of that. And then you also look at Discipline Priest or Priest Power Infusion being used on things like the best DPS right now, which is Enhancement Shaman. Now, I know a lot of these specs have been nerfed because Blizzard is trying to even out the odds. But what I'm trying to highlight here is that Discipline Priest, or the true power of this priest, is felt in the right comp, in the right group or organized group that knows how to handle everything, that knows how to play. Because in those kind of groups, as a Discipline Priest, you're going to be like, wow, this healer is absolutely banger. The amount of damage, the amount of healing I'm doing, the PI that I'm providing, all those things is great. But if you're trying to pug as a Discipline Priest, a group that you might not really trust, it's not a great experience. So does that mean that Discipline Priest deserves to be toned down because it's OP right now and it's used on all of these highest keys in the world? I don't think so, because I generally believe that Discipline only shines in the right kind of environment. So do you nerf Discipline Priest because of the top 1%? That's a question that I want you to answer, that I want your opinions, because again, I do think that Discipline Priest damage is kind of crazy out there, but you also look at Mistweaver Monk's damage. Mistweaver Monk, in my eyes, is relatively sleeper OP. The damage that it does, the healing that it does, it is a melee healer, and it can be awkward to play melee, especially if you have a lot of melee. There's certain dungeons or certain bosses out there that are just not melee friendly. I'm really interested in your opinion about this, because there were so many people talking and being angry about the Resto Shaman dominance at the start of the season, and then Blizzard nerfed a lot of things. They nerfed the Resto Shaman damage and things like that, and you're looking at charts right now and you're like, hey, should some of these nerfs be reverted? Because if you look at the damage for healers right now, you can see Resto Shaman damage doesn't deserve the nerfs that you received in the War Within. So this is the problem that happens when certain class becomes meta and people call for nerfs and all those things. And in terms of my Mythic Plus healer wishlist, in terms of the changes that I would like to see in the future, again, I would like a lot of the other healers being buffed in order to bring them closer in line in terms of what is perceived to be meta. For example, I would like Resto Shaman Farseer buffs to happen in the future, so people, or Totemic Resto Shamans, would be more inclined about swapping over to Farseer and being rewarded for that. I think Mistweaver right now is very much sleeper OP. I think the damage, the healing that it provides is absolutely wild. But I don't think Mistweaver needs a whole lot of changes outside of maybe some utility increases, maybe adding a battle res. I don't think battle res is the biggest issue right now, because you do have jumper cables and things like that available. But again, I think Mistweaver is in a good position. I think more people need to try it out. Resto Druid, I think the healing is a lot better than what it was at the start of the War Within. We're fully aware of the healing or HPS increases that they received. I would like a less intrusive interrupt being added, or maybe some macros being fixed around the interrupt for Resto Druids. I think Resto Druid can never be counted out because of Mark of the Wild, or Druids in general in terms of Mark of the Wild. So we'll have to see. I think Holy Paladin could definitely use some love when it comes to Mythic Plus. I know in raids they're doing pretty well, you do provide damage reduction, all those things, but when it comes to Mythic Plus content specifically, I would like some buffs. Holy Priest received buffs right now, but I would like to see more buffs towards their AoE healing toolkit, if that makes sense. Again, let me know how you feel about this. And Preservation of Evoker deals a lot of damage, it deals a lot of healing, but no one plays this. That's more to do with the actual class or the spec, or just maybe the whole experiment of Evoker range limitations did not really work. Because it's extremely interesting to see a healer that has a lot of throughput being so underplayed. So guys, let me know how you feel about this video. Let me know how you feel about the healer meta right now. Which is your favorite healer? If I were to finish off this video, I'm thinking about making a couple of more videos about possibly my journey in terms of gearing and playing Mistweaver Monk. I've been having a lot of fun with Mistweaver Monk. Again, I said this throughout the video, I think it is sleeper OP. I don't know if I can say a healer is OP when it's not considered to be meta, but honestly, I've had a blast with this. And thank you for watching this, and if you like it, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.